from the very beginning, I planned to do this. Don't think it's a good idea though. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. This is a video where I go through my new album, No Thank You Doesn't Laugh, available right now on Bandcamp, nothankyou.com/band. Fuck, nothankyou.bandcamp.com. The O's are zeros, and I'm just gonna go through track by track, sort of explaining each track. Now, just because this is my interpretation doesn't mean it's the interpretation. I completely open it up to anyone to interpret anywhere they want. I'm not going to be going like full into detail every little Easter egg hidden within this album, but just sort of explaining the general. Everything about this album has a purpose to lead it towards a certain place, and including some things that aren't even necessarily part of the album but supplementary materials, so to speak. So first off, I guess we should start with the title and the cover and the this thing on the Bandcamp background. So No Thank You Doesn't Laugh is a reference to a light novel by the name of Boogie Pop Doesn't Laugh. This is the first hint to what the theme of the album is. Boogie Pop Doesn't Laugh. Boogie Pop is a word meaning you've got two sides. There's the boogie and the pop, experimental and catchy. This is what the album is basically focused on boogie pop, right? It's both as catchy as I can possibly make it, especially at the beginning of the album. It gets a little more experimental further down, but especially at the beginning of the album, things like Man Fuck What You Heard is basically a pop song. Chicken Shop is instrumentality, it's basically a J-pop, you know. It's supposed to be a sort of it's boogie pop, and that's why the album is titled as such. I was thinking of naming it Sunrise Sketch, or as a reference to Hidamari Sketch, which is what Hidamari means in Japan, but I thought that was that was because it's in the same way that Hidamari Sketch is doing something that has been done before, the cute girl, four cute girls doing things in school kind of show, but presents it in a different way. That's sort of something similar I was going for with the album, where you do something that may have been seen before, but you present it in something different. You wrap it up in some nice packaging. But I decided to go with a different Weeaboo reference. And the album cover is also a similar story. All my other albums have like very dark covers. Oh, these are Patreon stuff, but very dark blacks, greys, industrial themed colours, and then suddenly you get this bright pinks and blues with some yellows and oranges in the corner in like a quilt patchwork pattern, because it's a patchwork of the pink, which represents the poppy side, and the blue, which represents the experimental side, all mingling into one another. As I said about supplementary materials, it is literally noise in the pink place. If you know my comic, which is about the physical embodiment of noise wandering around a place that is pink, that is what this album is. It's noise mixed with pop. It's noise pop. Noise in pink is the most bright and poppy colour. Yeah, there you go. See, I put thought into things. So let's get into the first track, Instrumentality. I'm going to talk about the lyrics a bit here as well. Instrumentality, of course, is a reference to Evangelion, Human Instrumentality Project. So it starts off with this piano riff. Now, when I first wrote this riff, I just did it in MIDI, and it took me ages to fucking learn how to play it on guitar to a standard I was happy with. But now I can do it, which is nice. It's supposed to start you off with like a really traditional melody structure. I mean, it's not super traditional, but that is like literally the scale, like basically just the scale that the song's in, just the key, like super sets you up. And then you go slightly above, right, you go slightly higher, and then you got this bit which is like you get dun 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 dun, slightly lilting to represent how it's kind of off. Like, yeah, you've got this very clear thing with a piano and loads of reverb and compression, but then it's slightly jilted the melody, and then you got the ending. Then the noise comes in. So, I guess I'll talk about the lyrics. I'll play a bit. Okay, so you may notice there's auto-tune on my vocals, which is kind of an homage to some of the more classic cyberpunk records. Things like Crystal Castles uses it a lot, Biz uses it a lot. So individuality, non-existent spirituality, talking about it's don't step on me or my humanity. Obviously this is a reference to the don't step on me meme from the fucking what are they called, libertarians. Not actually a libertarian myself, nor do I particularly. The entire point is to so individuality, non-existent spirituality, don't step on me or my humanity. This is the most important line of those three. Don't step on me or my humanity. Talking basically, it's kind of a dig at humanists, comparing them to don't step on me or don't tread on me, libertarians, where they sort of have this ideal of the human as something sacred, whereas in the same way that libertarians see liberty as something sacred, whereas really it's a poorly defined term, and it just stands in for whatever ideological pretense you want to fit into that fucking thing. Then looking in the mirror all around and I can't find vanity. This is about how it's sort of setting up the rest of the album to be introspective, looking in the mirror, but trying to also be introspective without being vain is what that's about. And then we have this living in a fantasy reality. What we once called real is now only images. This is a reference to Society of the Spectacle by Guy Debord, essentially claiming that reality, what was once tangible and real and real culture. Yes, this is how in depth and autistic I'm going with this fucking analysis. What was once real like real culture, tangible culture, has been replaced with just images of that culture, and this is to say we live in a fantasy reality. But I can see the line where it finishes. I can tell that the at some point the fantasy stops, and there is something real buried underneath it. But I'm not saying that that's a good thing. Then I'll just skip the rest of it. I don't want to be too autistic with this analysis. I guess I'll just read this bit. But the strobe lights flashing in my eyes, and my brains leak out the hole at the base of my skull. But my soul lives on inside the machine. Don't care that it isn't even me. This is a bit. So my soul lives on inside the machine. I don't care that it isn't even me. This is and don't overvalue humanity. This is once again the sort of anti-humanism in this song, talking about how a common rebuttal of transhumanist proposals to upload people's consciousnesses, that once you upload someone's consciousness to a machine, it's no longer them. The real you dies, and who knows if machine consciousness and human consciousness are even anything alike. Whereas I'm saying that you can't just assume that's a bad thing. In fact, I'm assuming that it's a good thing, because anything experimenting, any experiment past humanity is in by nature something like something accelerating, instead of fucking looking back in the past as to what humans mean and all that shit, where then redefining it. The soul lives on inside the machine. It doesn't matter that it isn't even me, because I don't overvalue humanity. You can do whatever you want. Then there's I'm Fired Up on the Dream, which is a reference to Anna Managuchi, and a little bit of tea made from poppy seed with choke cough medicine just to be me. Here I'm referencing the morphological freedom of the mind that drugs can bring, and then enhanced biotechnology, right? So it's saying that I just realized that I spelled this wrong. But this bit's basically saying that how if you want to say that human consciousness is something sacred, well, look, I've already experienced different states of consciousness, right? I've got dreaming is one different state of consciousness, and then poppy seed tea and cough medicine is also another way of enhancing, technically it's biotechnology. You're putting something man-made into your body through the purpose of adapting and making it do what you want. Then obviously you are not an individual. That happens later on. Right. It's because this is actually back to a reference of Society of the Spectacle, but then instead of applying this to society, I'm applying it to people, that the entire concept of identity is an image that we merely project, and it isn't representative of the creative nothing that lives beneath. It's not representative of true consciousness. So even this sort of, what you're saying, what this imaginary counter-argument is saying about how, like, the sort of humanist counter-argument to post-humanism, is misguided from the start, because its base of what consciousness is framed through this idea of the lens of the individual, their own lens of their own individuality, and the lens of the society which views people as individuals, whereas in reality the individual is an illusion created by human perception. It's not necessarily something that runs super deep, and it's not necessarily something that really needs to be preserved in the same sense that it exists now. Not saying that individualism is a bad thing, like a sort of radical individualism can be good for creating social change, of course, but or you know, living your life in general. It's not a terrible philosophy to live by, but it can be, whatever, that's for you to decide. But more so saying that limiting yourself to the perspective of individuality is, you know, limiting. It's not something that you can really look to for perspective in terms of post-humanism and the future of humanity. So let's get on to the next track. Yes, I am this autistic. This is Chicken Shop. This is the next song. I don't know why this song's called Chicken Shop. This song's all about money, making money. I hope no one misunderstands this as a sort of pro-money thing. Let me actually bring up a video that this song is based off of. This video of the rapper 6ix9ine. Let me grab it here. Here we go. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this is it. So a fucking hilarious video of this dickhead. Right, so he's like, it's very funny because he just doesn't make a single lick of sense in this fucking video.
Just because y'all see me with mad Crip niggas don't mean I'm Crip.
Because he's got them fucking teeth things in, what are they called? I forgot. But he can't speak. It's very funny because then he's like talking about how people always saying stuff about him, but they don't even have money, as if you need money to justify your opinions.
Get yourself some money, because y'all niggas be broke. The niggas that be talking mad shit be broke. Get you some money, bro. And I'm gonna keep going. Leave the camera rolling so niggas can know how much. You know what I'm saying? Bro, niggas don't got too much money, bro. Niggas don't got too much money.
That's what the chorus is basically parodying, where I'm like, making money, right? Right, it's a parody of this video of 6ix9ine because he's just such a fucking dickhead. And then the rest of the songs are just completely unrelated to that sort of. You'll drown in heaven if you even make it down. This is a really corny fucking lyric, and I'm not really happy with it. But you know, really basic shit. Heaven's supposed to be up, but if you even make it down, this is like hell. Whoa, it's like a representation of how the goals of a capitalist system are actually not particularly the same as what leads to reduce suffering in a human being. Wow, man, it's so deep. So it's just wait. It is what it is. This is again telling about how, in order to succeed in life, you generally, it's all about just playing the fucking waiting game and just like, oh well, you know, it is what it is. You can't do anything about the system. You just gotta wait. You know, if you happen to be someone who's a stick in the mud, you just gotta stick it out. You know, hey man, this is kind of a response to people who are like, have you you know, the sort of crowd who say, hey, have you tried not being sad? That sort of crowd. No one actually says that, but the sort of thing when you talk about mental health, it's the sort of thing like, just have some fun while you're here, man. Well, the point is that I can't have fun because I am here. And then this bit is all about how you have to crash to survive, right? You have to, in order to survive, you have to sell a bit of your soul to work in order to pay up bills, and then eventually you end up paying up these bills quite happily because you just accept that it's something that you have to do. And then with emotional labor intensive, it's all about how the entire concept of work is not just limited to the physical labor that you have to perform, but the emotional task, or the sort of concept of work itself is suffocating, and it's also like it's incubation. It's a place for like where how do I explain this? I'm not going to bother explaining it, and then I'm like, fuck off with this corny bullshit, fuck off, because that's just a cool bit of the song. It doesn't mean anything, or maybe it does mean something, and I'm just not telling you. Next is Child Psychology. This is a song all about me, because I'm so important and cool. I didn't even write the fucking lyrics to this one down. What the fuck? I gotta fix that. I can remember the lyrics just from saying them, though. So, in the playground, by myself, I had no choice, I had to run away. This is a reference to, every little 4-line phrase is a reference to an event that happened in my life as a child. So, in the playground by myself, I had no choice, I had to run away, is when I'm like, it's a reference to this one particular memory. It stands out for me in primary school, where I'm in the playground, and I was by myself, and then some people came up to me, and I didn't know what to do, so I just ran away. It's a pretty basic fucking thing. It's wait, I think I skipped one. I think I skipped something. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I'll talk about that. He hit me, teacher lied, I had no choice, what a bad start. This is a real thing that happened to me in fucking school, which I will never forgive my parents and my teachers and that school for. On one of the early, it wasn't the first day, but early on when I moved from primary to secondary school, early on, a year 13, which is like the high school student, came up to me in the playground and was like, "You're bullying my brother! You're bullying my brother!" and like slapped me really hard across the face. And the thing is, right, if you tell someone that you've been slapped, it just doesn't seem like a serious thing because of the inherent like comedy of being slapped. But imagine as like how old was I? 12-ish? Like 11, 12? Imagine an 11, 12-year-old being slapped by a 16-year-old, right? In front of the whole school, in the playground. Everyone gathers around to laugh at me because they think I've been bullying this kid. But I had never talked to that kid in my entire life. He was in my class. Literally had never spoken to him ever. So this guy, I guess the kid had made it up and told his brother or something like that. But yeah. And then the teacher lied to my parents and said that they had proof that I'd been bullying the kid, when they definitely didn't have any proof because it didn't happen. I'd never talked to him. And I got in loads of fucking trouble for bullying. I got in loads of trouble for being hit. That's what happened. I got suspended right at the beginning of my school, moving to secondary school, because I was accused of bullying and like hit by a fucking, almost an adult when I was like a child. And I got fucking, from there my reputation was instantly ruined because all the teachers saw me as a bully then. And so then from then on I got in trouble all the fucking time because it was just assumed that I was a bad person. So there you go, there's the story of that fucking track. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the rest of this track because it's too personal, but there you go. Next is Neat Days. And now, if you're a Patreon supporter of No Thank You, you may recognise this track from quite a while ago. It came out on Patreon first. This song is supposed to sound like an anime opening mixed with like noise music. So like the really corny intro guitar riff. Making sure that it was actually recording the audio there. That would have been awful if I'd done this whole thing without recording the audio from the fucking thing. But yeah, it's supposed to be like a deranged anime opening. That, you know, it's a neat days. It was about the time period where I was in my break, after I finished school and before I started uni, and then you know, later on as well, when I slip into like a nocturnal sleep cycle. You know, I'm telling. Well, I say the morning, but the fact is, I don't sleep till I see the dawn sunlight. What beautiful sunrise! Because I used to just sit right here, staring out this window, watching the sunrise, as I still hadn't gone to sleep, wishing I could just sleep instantly instead of having to lie down and think about things. Don't feel so great today is nothing I can say. It doesn't mean much, like besides the literal meaning of that sentence. I have 1 million friends, right? This is where I'm talking about how the internet is my escape from this. On the internet, I have 1 million friends. I mean, I haven't talked to most of them, but in terms of total interactions, people that have contributed towards things that I enjoy, I'm sure it easily reaches 1 million. But every single one of them would leave me to rot. None of them can do anything to stop my physical predicament of being stuck in my house by my own fucking hand. So there's that song, which then goes into like. Right. Originally, so there's some like metal bits here. It's pretty. Yeah. It's a beautiful sunrise juxtaposed with metal blast beats. It's all clever and stuff. Then there's Man Fuck What You Heard. This is the song that is the most meta of anything on the album. So it's simultaneously the most poppy and sort of the most experimental song on the album. So this is actually a violin run through a heavy bit crusher for the main riff. I was inspired by 2000s alt rock for this song. Okay, I'm literally not going to talk about any of these lyrics. I want these to be open to, like, I want people to, I'm really interested to see what people think about these. I'm not going to talk about them. But these bits I can talk about. And this bit I can talk about. Hold the phone and please take a mental picture, all alone. Fuck you if you think this is real, it's all a joke, you didn't even notice, did you? Just look around, it's time for your last meal. So this bit's really the most important part is, fuck you if you think this is real, it's all a joke, you didn't even notice, did you? Is literally talking about the very song. It's talking about how the riff is really corny, and you should probably have paid attention to the fact that it's I'm playing genre as part of the message of the song is genre. The genre is an instrument in this entire album. I'm playing with the entire concept of I mean, it's not literally a joke, but it's not like serious, is what I'm saying. Right? And then there's this bit where it says too late. I guess it's too late to turn back now, you know. It's time for your last meal, it's too late. Then this bit's pretty fun. For the fuck of it, a pose for the juxt of it. I like this lyric a lot. For the fuck of it, a pose for the juxt of it. Talking about, like, so why did I make this song then if the entire thing's just a meta commentary of itself? Well, it, again, abuse obtuse. It all leads into it. I'm abusing obtuseness for absolutely no reason, and I have no excuse for the pretentiousness of it. I'm just doing it for the fuck of it. Why am I putting these two styles? Well, they're opposed just for the juxtaposition. It's clever. It's a smart lyric. I'm a fucking genius. Then this bit is some stuff that only like 3 people in the world will understand. But yeah, maybe 2 people, maybe just me and my friend. So I'm not going to explain that. I'd have to explain like a bunch of in-jokes to even get to why that makes sense to me. Indigo children are like a bullshit astrology thing of like supposedly chosen people who have an indigo aura, who are like think they're super special, but really it's bullshit. So this is saying like, fuck you if you think you're special just for being special. You've got to prove that you're special. The Gifted Kid Burnout Bingo. If you've seen this thing, I can look it up right now. Yeah, you see the porn tabs in my history. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of any of that. Yeah, here we go. This is the recovering one. Where's the original one? I guess this is it. This is a very common one. You know, you can tick off a lot of these. As for me, it's like basically me saying I'm not special. I'm not an indigo child. I'm just a gifted kid. Burnout bingo. There's literally nothing unique about me at all or this song. Yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid song, but I kind of like it. Then Laugh is just an ambient track. I could talk about like why I made certain instrumental choices, but I feel like that would be too much. Now we get to Unhype. Honestly, the lyrics in this aren't super meaningful. I'm not gonna lie. Well, at least for the verse. So this song is supposed to be a transition between the first and second halves of the album. So after Laugh, which is like the full on, like, okay, A part is finished, now onto the B part. This song is like half A part, half B part, because you got this bit which is like similar to the B part, but then the chorus is more similar to the first half of the album. So yeah, this bit is relatively self-explanatory, and I only put in the lyrics "so unreal," but if you're special, you can hear the other lyric in the chorus, which is the main chorus goes, "Wake up, please, you're in a coma. The doctors are trying a new technique. I might seem like I'm not me. Please wake up, you've been asleep." It's literally a meme. If you've ever seen the meme of hold on. There's two coma memes, so I don't know which one will show up when I search for it. Yeah, it's this. I knew this one would show up. There's another meme which is like people saying like, "Please wake up, you've been in a coma. The doctors are trying a new technique. I'm your wife. They don't know how this will appeal to you, but you've been in a coma for the last 20 years, and please wake up." It's literally just to fuck with people. But no one's gonna actually. It's not actually gonna fuck with anyone. But it's the concept of fucking with people. That this whole world is unreal, and you're actually in a coma this whole time. And this song is some way for the doctors to get to you and try and wake you up. And this bit is all about just death. And then there's a noise solo. This bit is literally just talking about death and decay as like a theme. What's next? Lazy Lazy. This is a fun one. This one is the first single out of this album, but it was secret because I didn't even know this was going to be in a fucking album. That's a sample of my mum with a lot of distortion on it and cutting up and clever stuff like that. Editing this voice, edit my choice, deleting this voice, deleting my choice. I think that's pretty self-explanatory about speech and, you know, what's it called? Not freedom of speech. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I don't know how to explain it. I tried to make it into a song because that's how I can talk to people. This bit is all about, okay, so suicidal behaviour into your ear. One more time I keep shouting just to make it clear. Seems to me like you lot are choosing not to hear. Literally about how I'm like, I'm talking about this. It's kind of talking to people who are, particularly my parents and authority figures who would listen to my music and stuff and understand what, like, okay, he's clearly talking about something here, but then we'll turn around, or not even just listen to my music, listen to me talk about how, like, oh man, yo, I'm depressed as shit, or something like that, or I'm really anxious, I can't do X or Y, Z, but then they'll just turn around and as if they just never heard it in the first place, they'll just say, man, you're just lazy, which is the point of the song. How people accuse me of being lazy, but I'm actually just depressed as fuck. Seems to me like you lot are choosing not to hear. I keep shouting it. I keep telling in every single piece of art I make, whatever, I'm talking about how I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, or whatever. But people just choose not to hear it because it's practical for them to just think I'm lazy. But again, it's not just about me. This is a general talk about anyone who suffers from any sort of mental disorder and has been called lazy in their life. I'm sure that's something a lot of people can relate to. People with depression are often just accused of being lazy. This bit's I'm decaying. I'm not going to talk about this. You can draw your own conclusions. Little Man in My Head. This is a fun one. This is a fun one to record and write, and I didn't write the fucking lyrics down. Great, amazing. You know I had to sneak a reference to waifus into my fucking album, and this song has a reference to waifus. The first lyric in this song is My maiden's kiss is bliss, even though it doesn't exist. My maiden's kiss is bliss, even though it doesn't exist. There you go. Reference to waifus in my album. That makes sense. Feels like shit. Feels like shit. Maybe I'll let you have a bit if you ask nicely. Feels like shit, maybe I'll let you have a bit if you ask nicely and politely. Then I might be just slightly inclined to show you what a real man does and what he doesn't do. I wouldn't know, but so would you. So let's assume somebody this conversation. Yeah, that bit's about how not just me but musicians and artists, in fact all artists in general, are sort of selling their feelings. If you ask nicely, I'll let you. Feels like shit, maybe I'll let you have a bit of the shit feeling if you ask nicely and politely, right? I think that makes sense. Sort of selling your emotions. What a real man does and what he doesn't do. I wouldn't know, but so would you. So let's change the subject of this conversation. The political state of the nation. What's our face with pain? Looks like constipation. Or is it contemplation? This is talking about how, every time you mention politics to anyone, they just go to shit. It's a bit of a funny meme lyric that people's opinions on politics are basically just fucking like literal shit. It's a metaphor. What's that? It looks like a constipation, or is it contemplation? When you ask it, like theoretically, you ask someone about politics, and they make a face like they're constipated, which is a metaphor for how just talking shit about politics all the time is the vocal equivalent of shit. That's why I don't talk about like party politics and mainstream politics in any of my music or Twitter or anything. It's just bullshit. But then I do talk about broader philosophical, political concepts like anarchy and accelerationism and transhumanism and stuff. So maybe I'm a hypocrite. Maybe I thought of that when I wrote this song, and that's why I made the first lyrics about how I'm selling part of my soul as an artist, and all artists are in a way. Maybe I thought about it. I'm sorry for the confrontation. Leave me alone, I didn't mean to cause a fuss, but then I can't do any of us. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Leave me alone, I didn't mean to cause a fuss. I'm sorry for the confrontation. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'm a little confused. What's happening? That's my favourite bit in the whole album. What's happening? That's great. Just been me being confused and lost, kind of like. I guess I'll just stay here in the dark alone in my room. No reason to panic, to assume, or even to consume another product force-fed. Rather stay in bed. Talking about how hikikomoriizing yourself, shutting yourself in your room is really the only way to avoid the spectacle anymore. You can't step outside without having a product force-fed to you. So, whereas if you move yourself into the internet, if you move yourself past the outside world, well then I haven't seen an advert in fucking years, right? Look, I have ad blocker. I don't need to care about any of that shit. It's fine. To panic, to assume, or even to consume another product, force-fed, rather stay in bed instead. May as well be dead. Now this is a fun bit. May as well be dead in the eyes of the likes of you. Asking me what I do. Could say the same about you. This is one of my pet peeves. When you talk to a new person, if you're introduced to someone and you start a conversation with the new person, one of the common things people will say to you is, so what do you do? I think that is, as soon as someone says that to me, I instantly look down on them as scum. What do you do? That is the most broad question you could possibly ask someone. And the thing is that they expect you to reply with what you do for work, which instantly just shows that they think of people as nothing but the job that they do to produce capital, which just pisses me off to no fucking end. And when you have a job that doesn't produce much capital like me, when you're a fucking useless piece of shit artist who just sits in his room making music all day, and someone asks you what you do, and you say, I'm a musician, and then they say, they expect you to say, like, oh, you know what I'm saying, right? It's not a particularly well-respected job to be a poor musician trying to struggle in life. It's got the connotations of, like, check out my mixtape, SoundCloud rapper kind of people. But then when someone asks me what I do and they expect me to apply of my job, I could say the same about them, right? What do you actually do in your life besides your job? Like, do you have any sort of purpose to your life, or do you just live to work for a fucking boss? That's the point of this song. Yeah, it's true, I'm not up by noon. I see how that would confuse a man whose every move is scheduled by the second, minute, hour, year. Right, like, yeah, it's me justifying my scummy hikikomori ways of staying in bed till noon and not waking up until then. You know, to the average person, that makes me seem like a lazy piece of shit. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, in what way is what you do any better, or are you just justifying? Are you just looking to justify your own way of life by looking down at other people? Which is also what I'm doing in this song, funny enough, is justifying my own way of life by looking down on other people. So there is an irony there. It's not lost on me, don't worry. Yeah, anyways, man is every move is scheduled by the second, minute, hour, year. Day by day you disappear. Meanwhile I'm here playing this shit by ear. I see the reaction on your face, boy, that's fear. I think that makes sense, right? Here I am, trying to carve out my own fucking niche, trying to desperately carve out something separate from the regular jobs that most people do, and all I get, and not just me, this doesn't just apply to me, this is everyone who tries to do art for a living, or any sort of non-traditional job. All I get from it is basically shit, especially if it's not like a starting a business type job. If you're like a startup, like make a startup, that's sort of a respected way to do it, but the sort of thing like, you know, not just art, but there's loads of stuff that is not particularly good for money, and it may not be particularly looked upon great in society, but it's really subjective, that the way people look down on these sort of jobs, which is basically what this song's about. And then now it's time for you to see the little man in my head called me. I mean, when I say, like, I see the reaction, that's fear, is because, you know, people who tend to... This entire song is just a dig at normies, at wages. This song is just a dig at wages. Wages in a kg. I don't know, I should call this song Wages in a kg. Now it's time for you to see the little man in my head called me. It's talking about, haha, now you see the true me, and it scares you. Here's Entropy. I don't remember the lyrics to this song. I forgot to write them down, and it's all in like a death metal growl, so that's kind of rubbish, isn't it? I'm just going to be honest with you there. I don't remember what the lyrics are, and I can't understand them. Killer on the Backbeat's a fun one. I also forgot to write the lyrics for this one. Fucking great. Good job, me. I think Killer on the Backbeat makes sense as a lyric, right? That's Killer on the Backbeat. These lyrics aren't supposed to be heard. Yeah, these lyrics are like not meant to really make sense. They're just supposed to be like a rhythmic thing, which is why it's killer on the Backbeat. But then we get the real lyrics. No. I know what you want. You always want what you can't have. This is like a sort of talking to the hypothetical you in this song is just like someone who longs for a social change. It doesn't necessarily mean leftist or right wing. It's anyone who sort of wants society, including myself, to be something that it currently isn't. I know what you want. You always want what you can't have, because that's the nihilist in me speaking, the anarchy nihilist person who thinks that revolution ain't coming no time soon. You know, it's all that sort of bullshit. But then here I'm saying, like, just because you want this specific type of societal change, maybe you should broaden your horizons a little bit and hold my hand. Essentially, this song's just calling for an insurrection. Hold my hand, no plan. No man's land, take over and burn it to the ground. Yeah, it's pretty basic. So there's rebellion, social restructuring, burning everything to the ground, pyromancy, pyromania, destruction for the sake of destruction. That social upheaval has merits on its own without necessarily being in service of any particular political ideology. That's kind of the message of this song. You want the total change. Yeah, you want total change. There's no rules to that game. If you want total change, you can't then try and rein it in with whatever ideology you want to put over it. I know how I was just speaking a few minutes ago about how I made a whole song about how politics is shit, and I'm now going into a political song. So there you go. That's just the sort of there you go. That's me. New rules to the game. No shame, nothing. You need no shame if you wanna have full social change, total change. If you want total change, you can't have any shame. I think that makes sense. A kill back beats is just a fucking sick lyric. It doesn't mean anything. It just is sick. This doesn't mean we'll take the back streets. It means we'll take back the streets. Show the world what pain should mean, right? That people are too comfortable. And then it just repeats itself. And then this is not real. This is not real. This is not real. It's just society of the spectacle again. This isn't real. This is just images. Whatever you want, whatever social total change you want, is just images. It's just layering new images over the old images. We need total change, not some sort of new fucking fangled master. And then finally, End Void. This is, of course, a reference to my first album, where you'll see the last song is called End Immolation. As you can see, people actually bought this album. Sadly, no one's bought this album. Whatever. Don't give a fuck about anything. Don't give a fuck about anything. There are lyrics in this song, but they're buried deep in the back with a lot of reverb. It says, "Take me back to life." That's basically the only lyrics in this song. It's just weird. If you listen really closely, you can hear it, but it's like pitch shifted with some like harmonies added and a lot of reverb, so you probably wouldn't be able to hear it super well even if you knew what to listen for, but I'll try and point it out. Take me back to life. That's how it goes. Now you can probably hear it in the background if you really listen closely. But that's the last song of this album. It's in 5/4 because I'm a cool person who makes songs in odd time signatures. How cool is that? So there you go. We've gone through the whole album. This wasn't super detailed. I didn't get super into the production side of things. I guess I could, but there's not too much to say unless anyone has anything that they're interested about how I made it. There's not too much interesting. Like the production's relatively standard for like a noise pop kind of thing. I mean, all I can think of is Neat Days. If you listen closely, you can hear. If Bandcamp was there, you can hear a noise in the background, like you can hear that. I made that by running like an electronic drum kit on Logic through a bunch of through a distortion pedal, then through a reverb pedal, then through another distortion pedal, and then a wah set to like halfway with some filtering, and then another distortion pedal. No. Okay, drums, just through a distortion pedal emulator, through then a reverb, then another distortion pedal, then a delay set to 100% feedback, so it's just looping itself, but not just any delay, a reverse delay set to 100% feedback, then through another distortion pedal, then I put reverb on the output on a bus. That's how I made the noise in this, and it modulates through the whole song, like the speed and timing of the delay pedal changes, the pitch and tone of the distortion changes, the drum pattern obviously changes, and the reverb actually doesn't change that much. But yeah, that's something kind of interesting, I guess. Is there anything else super interesting about this? Maybe this. You can kind of tell the guitar sounds a little bit more, like a little bit electronic-y. It has like some artifacting on it. That's because I actually recorded it in an octave lower than what you're hearing, and then pitched it up later to give it like purposely with like strict settings so that it would create some artifacting to make it sound a little artificial. Is there anything else particularly interesting production-wise in this album that I could talk about? I don't know. Decaying has some interesting vocal processing on it. The second half of the album uses the Lindrum drum machine a lot, which is a meta thing again about pop music, because it's very common in like 80s pop music. Michael Jackson used it for Thriller. It's if you've ever heard "You Spin Me Right Round" by Dead or Alive, that's that drum machine. I used samples from that in this whole I think I made these vocals by running it through like a ring modulator, and also some pitch changing, pitch shifting, some compression. I think there was some pretty heavy compression, and tremolo set to a pretty fast speed, I think is how I did it. I think that's how I did it, yeah. And then the violins are just violins. Is there anything else particularly interesting? I mean, I'm gonna keep thinking. Nah, there's nothing super crazy production-wise in this album. Yeah, there's nothing super crazy production-wise. I could do a whole video about how I got it took me a long time to get guitar tone that I was satisfied with. I changed the way I do drums. That's something kind of interesting, but that requires a whole video of its own because it's quite complicated and technical. Anyway, I'm glad if you haven't listened to the album yet, please do it. Please do so. Please listen to it. Please, I need it. I need some sort of justification for the last 5 months of my life. If you have any questions about how I did any of the production, please feel free to ask in the comments, or any question. I mean, I think I've answered everything I want to say about the lyrics. If there's anything I didn't say about the lyrics, that was purposeful, because I want to either leave it vague or either I want to leave it vague. It wouldn't make sense even if I did explain it, because it's just too obtuse, or it's too personal and I don't really want to talk about it, or I just physically don't know how to explain it because I'm stupid and only know how to explain myself through music. So there you go. There's the album.